You all say I'm ugly, but I've saved countless lives. I escaped 5 mass extinctions, but I collapsed on the operating table. I'm a horseshoe crab. I was forced to become a blood slave in order to donate blood to you. If you've had an injection, you've been protected by me. My ancestors first appeared 450 million years ago. We are the most primitive inhabitants of the Earth. Until 200 million years ago, we stopped evolving and remained as we are today, which is why you call us living fossils. We survived the extinction of the dinosaurs, and now humans dominate the planet. You've noticed that my blood is blue. My blood is blue because I use copper to transport oxygen, and copper-containing proteins have a blue color. And mankind has discovered that my blue blood has a unique medical value. It can stop the invasion of bacteria and inhibit the reproduction of viruses. They began to extract my blood as a medical reagent. All they had to do was fold my body in half and insert a needle into my heart to drain the little blue blood I had. Later, my blood was even sold for $100,000 a liter, so it was coveted by many. Even 500,000 of my kind could be taken in a year. I was forced to give blood. In a way, I was saving mankind. But human greed brought us to the brink of extinction in just a few years. When we're forced to donate blood, we're drained of our last value. And even worse, forced to strip my shell to make chitin. For the sake of appetite, I'll be disemboweled and served at the table. After years of destruction, we are on the verge of extinction. We've become a second-class protected species. They realized they couldn't go on like this. So they were merciful. They'd only take 30% of my blood at a time and release me back into the ocean. But will this method really keep us alive? In fact, during the transportation and recovery process, many of my companions did not survive. Most of those who survived lost their ability to reproduce. But there's nothing we can do about it. We can only hope that in the future, mankind's technology will advance so that we no longer need to take other lives to save our own. A whale explodes and everything stinks. Why do whales explode when they die? Is it really as scary as rumored? This is a real scene filmed by tourists on a French archipelago in 2014. After a sperm whale ran aground, the local authorities sent marine biologists to bring the whale to the nearest laboratory. And then, armed to the teeth, a 40-meter-long knife was stabbed directly into the whale's carcass to deflate it. The whole process was very neat and tidy, but this is not the only case of a whale blowing up. Back in 2004, a 17-meter-long 50-ton sperm whale stranded in Tainan, Taiwan. Scientists were preparing to transport it to a research institute for autopsy. But then something happened. When the whale was transported to the city center, it suddenly exploded. The clean streets were instantly covered in blood. The whale's flesh and guts were sprayed everywhere. A variety of foul-smelling substances were thrown onto billboards and food stalls. Stores, cars, and even pedestrians within a dozen meters were all spared. The air was filled with the stench of corpses. After the incident, one of the people involved only said 5 words to the media. The stench almost made me faint. So why did the whale explode? Well, the truth is that when whales die, the food in their stomachs that they haven't had time to digest slowly decays. Inside their bodies, which produces gases like methane and hydrogen sulfide. At the same time, the whale's own internal tissues and organs are rapidly decaying, and so more gases are produced of these explosive gases, and the pressure inside the whale rises. The whale is like a big balloon. If the autopsy is not done properly, or a slight disturbance from the outside, will explode in an instant, according to scientists' calculations, if someone is not more than 3 meters away from the whale when it explodes. There's a good chance they'll be seriously injured, or even killed. So when you come across a stranded whale carcass, it's best not to get too close. Otherwise, if it explodes, you may not be able to eat for a couple of days, or you may die in the same place.
The invention of cesarean section of the person's IQ is definitely more than 200. I have to say that it is really a surgery for the benefit of mankind. to save countless pregnant women and fetuses facing life-threatening conditions due to difficult labor. Today we will take you to understand the whole process of cesarean section. Cannot help but feel sorry for the mother's pain after watching it. Before the C-section surgery, the doctor will conduct a four-dimensional ultrasound examination of the pregnant woman, in order to determine the specific orientation of the fetal head in the uterus and the location of the surgical incision. In addition, the doctor will insert a urinary catheter to empty the pregnant woman's urine. Next, the anesthesiologist will administer either general or local anesthesia, depending on the condition of the mother, with local anesthesia having the least effect on the fetus. On the contrary, with general anesthesia, not only will the pregnant mother pass out completely, but the anesthesia will also have some effect on the fetus, and it is usually only used in emergencies, so local anesthesia is almost always used in cesarean section surgeries. The doctor will first anesthetize the lower half of the mother's body by inserting a long needle into her spinal nerves. In order to prevent the mother from feeling uncomfortable when she sees the procedure, the doctor will cover the lower half of the mother's body with a long piece of cloth. Before the operation, the doctor will first sterilize the mother's stomach, then cut the skin, then the fascia, muscle and peritoneum until the abdominal cavity is completely cut open and the uterus can be seen through the incision. The muscle layer of the uterus is then incised and a tool is used to pierce the amniotic membrane to remove all the amniotic fluid. The baby is then slowly removed from the incision and the umbilical cord is cut, and a tiny baby is born. Finally, the placenta, which remains in the mother's body, is peeled away to ensure that there is no heavy bleeding in the uterus, and then the incision is closed layer by layer. The entire procedure is usually completed within an hour. On the first day of recovery, the doctor will repeatedly press on the mother's abdomen to promote uterine contractions and help the uterus to drain the blood, which is conducive to the body's recovery. Over time, the scar left by a C-section will slowly thin out, eventually forming a white scar that will become a special mark in the mother's life. However, both cesarean section and natural childbirth carry risks. Many men think that cesarean section is a simple thing to do, but in fact, very few people are able to bear the pain.
The female reproductive system is an amazing and complex body organ. It consists of external and internal genitalia. Its mission includes fertilization, menstruation, pregnancy, and childbirth. And our journey begins where the egg is born. This oval-shaped structure is called the ovary. It's where the egg is created. When a girl is born, the ovary contains tens of thousands of follicles. Each follicle contains one egg. During a woman's lifetime, she releases about 400 to 500 mature eggs. These eggs remain inactive until the onset of puberty. At puberty, the pituitary and hypothalamic gonadotropins produce estrogen and progesterone. This is when the female's secondary sexual characteristics begin to appear. A girl's first period is called menarche. It is a symbol of female maturity. When a mature egg reaches the fallopian tube, it will stay here for 48 hours. Its ultimate goal is to meet the sperm. During this time, if the egg is not fertilized, the lining of the uterus will fall off due to necrosis and cause bleeding, and then a period will occur. If the egg is fertilized, it forms a fertilized egg and travels to the uterus where it lays and develops into an embryo. And the process by which a life is born is inextricably linked to the uterus and vagina and external genitalia. The uterus is a back-walled organ located in the center of the pelvis. It's where life is conceived. It's where the embryo spends 10 months until it develops into a fetus. And the vagina connects the external genitalia to the uterus. The vagina is the connection between the external genitalia and the uterus. It's also where menstrual blood flows and the fetus is delivered. For most women, labor begins with contractions. The contractions open the cervix completely, so that the fetus can be delivered, until the baby is completely removed from the mother's body. A miracle of life is realized here. In addition, the breasts are part of the reproductive system. After the fetus is delivered, with a sudden drop in hormones, the pituitary gland secretes large quantities of lactin to promote milk production. It can provide sufficient nutrients for the new baby. I must say, the female reproductive system is truly a miracle of nature. Cherishing and understanding your body, it's the best way to respect life. Have you ever seen a disease where diamonds can grow in your toenails? Have you ever seen a disease where you can see through your eyes like Superman? With these diseases, you may be able to go to the top of your life. Today, I'll show you the 5 most envied diseases in the world. The last one many people dream of having. Number 5, diamonds in toenails. Although this disease sounds unbelievable, but it really happened to a 23-year-old Malaysian woman, Suana. Since October 2006, she had strange crystals growing under her toenails from time to time. These crystals were tested and found to be worth a lot of money. Some people were even willing to pay a high price for these crystals. Suhana's disease is extremely rare in the world. If she suffers from this disease, she'll probably be rich and free for the rest of her life. Number 4. Painlessness. As the name suggests, this disease means that you can't feel any pain. This is due to a problem with the body's pain-sensing nerves. No pain sensation. It means you don't know what's wrong with your body. This is quite scary. Number 3. Fearlessness. Fearlessness is not having any fear inside. Whether you're standing on the roof of a 100-story building or staying in a graveyard all night, you don't feel any fear. In fact, this is a kind of skin and mucous membrane lipoidosis. It's a condition that reduces nerve stimulation. For those of you who are squeamish, this disease is awesome. Number 2. Heterochromia. Heterochromia is called heterochromia of the iris. In other words, it's a disease that makes you look better. People with this disease have completely different colors in their eyes. Some people even have several colors. With such a pair of strange and cool eyes, you'll be the center of attention. Number 1. Perspective disorder. It's a disease that many people dream of having. A 14-year-old girl in the United States suffered from perspective disorder. When she was 10 years old, her eyeballs slowly turned into those scary white eyeballs from horror movies. Since then, she's had the ability to see through everything. She can even see behind steel plates. In Russia, there is also a girl who suffers from the same problem, but she did have the ability to see through the human body. People have even had steel pins put in their shoulders. She could see through them like an X-ray. So which of these 5 unattainable diseases do you envy more?